Hello everyone, I am doing another Faces of Loki episode. I know it's been a while since I've done one of those here on YouTube. I've been trying to get caught up on TikTok and other platforms to where I'm at here, but Loki wanted this one discussed apparently. So tonight we're talking about Loki as the problem solver. Now I want to start with the first thing you hear when Lokians say something about honoring Loki's aspect as a problem solver. The Nokians and anti-Loki folk will almost instantly say something related to, well, that doesn't count because he's the one that caused the problem. That's not entirely true. So I want to start with that. When you read the stories, yes, there are a couple that Loki did cause in some way. And usually even then there was a reason for it. It wasn't like he just went stirring the shit pot. Even with Idun and the apples, that was because he had literally been tortured until he promised to bring her. And he was made to oath that because Loki will not break an oath. So even then there was a reason. It wasn't like he was just being a jerk. But at the same time, there are multiple stories of Loki going to fix a problem that didn't actually say he did in fact do it. The prelude of the story did not show him doing it. There was this thing happened, and the Aesir get together and discuss who might have caused this, because, they couldn't have possibly done it themselves, right? And then they assume it was Loki. And it's actually worded that way. They assumed it was Loki. Or they figured it must have been Loki. In some way, it was them deciding it must have been Loki, not actually saying Loki did in fact do this. Other than the Aesir just guessed it was him. And they would make him go fix it. Excuse me. So, that being said, yes, Loki is a problem solver. Not just problems that he himself caused, but problems that others caused that he went to help or got made to help fix. Even if it was a case of the ones that he caused somehow himself, you can't say that doesn't count as a problem solver. Because part of growing and maturing is fixing our mistakes, right? So what's not to honor about that? He made a mistake and he went and fixed it. That's still something of honor, because that is something that a lot of people still do not do. That is something a lot of the Aesir did not do. There was a problem, they sent Loki to fix it. If they even did anything at all. They rarely fixed their mistakes themselves. People today rarely fix their mistakes. They'll say, I'm sorry I made a mistake, and leave it at that and not make any attempt to change the behavior, to fix the problem. So even if the problem he's solving is one he caused, it's still something to honor and learn from. And that is, we made a mistake and now we need to fix it. So, now let's look at him as the problem solver. Now that that's cleared up, we start with the example of cases where he did solve the problem. From the very beginning, the wall. The builder comes to build the wall. They give him an amount of time to do it. If he finishes in that amount of time, he gets the sun and Freya, which would have been destroyed everything before it even got started, because we need the sun, and they really didn't want to lose Freya. He's getting really close to beating that time. Now, because yes, Loki had said, you know what, just let him do it. Loki didn't think he could do it either. They weren't expecting him to come up with a giant magic Jotun horse to help. So, they have him fix it. And he has to think about, how can we do this? So he gets the idea of, okay, I will turn into a mare and lure the stallion away long enough that it puts the Jotun behind on his work and he cannot finish the wall. So that's one problem he solved. With Idun, yes, that one he did lure her away. Regardless of that, it was also him that got sent to fix it and get her back. He's the one that had to come up with the plan on how to do it. They didn't tell him, we're going to do this and we're just sending you. It was, Loki, you are going to fix this and you're going to come up with a plan on how. So he comes up with the plan of taking the falcon suit, falcon form on Frigg, and flying off to go get Idun. He knew he had to wait until the Jotun left. He planned out leaving, waiting until the Jotun left the house for the day. He was game planning. And then, because a falcon can't carry a whole human, whole person, he turned her into an acorn or nut, depending on which translation. Anyway, he turned her into this little acorn so that he could grab her in his talons and fly off with her. And that's problem solving. Sif and her hair, when it got cut off, Thor's about to kill him. He's going to break every bone in his body because he cut off Sif's hair. I've got it. And Loki goes and gets the dwarves to make her new hair that's even better than what she had, made of gold, that would still grow like natural hair. Problem solved. There are multiple examples of Loki solving a problem. Loki going and solving the problem whether he caused it or not. We got gifts that way. I mentioned this in the Trickster video, where he was trying to figure out how they could possibly catch him if they found him after the fighting, when they were after him to do the binding. How could they possibly catch him if he was in fish form? And so he started, building a fishing net to see if that would be something they could possibly think of, because he was trying to solve the problem of planning ahead. What could they possibly do to do this? That's a problem-solving skill too. Sometimes in problem solving, it's not waiting until the problem happens. We plan ahead, right? That is something we can learn from Loki as well. So, look at it from the perspective of real world, mundane, here on Midgard. We do the same thing in problem solving. How do you solve a problem? First, you think of what is the problem. You think of potential ways to get around it. You brainstorm. You talk to experts if you know of any in whatever area. Now, we pray about it and ask for guidance. And then we do it. Loki does all those things in one way or another in the tale. Again, it doesn't matter who caused the problem. Point is, he solved the problem. How do we apply that to ourselves? With Loki, his way of being a problem solver for us, for us people, for those of us who follow him, and even if you're not Lokian, you can call on Loki for things that he specializes in, like any other deity out there. You're not going to get struck down by Odin or Thor just because you asked Loki for help. You're not. In fact, if you're giving offerings to Odin and refusing to allow Loki, then you're forcing him to break an oath every time you give Odin an offering. Really smart man told me that one time. I'll never forget it. And he's not no kid. But he wants to make sure he's fair about it. So I thought that was great. Something to remember. But in our own lives, we have a problem. We have to think like Loki. We have to think outside the box. In the tale with the fishing net, there had not been fishing nets yet. He gave us the fishing net by accident, because he didn't mean for them to find out what he had done and use it against him. He was just thinking of how it could be done. We think outside the box. Who else would have thought of, oh, I can't carry her if I'm a bird, so let me, bird can carry a nut. So we have to look at our problems that way. How can we go through this? And we ask Loki for help. That's another problem I have, is so many people in heathenry act like we don't worship, we don't pray, we don't ask, we do things all our own. If that was the case, then why are you even here? That's not how this works. So for Loki, first you think, what is the problem? Then you think, sort of like you did with Sif and there, do I know anybody who has a specialty or an area of expertise in this particular topic? Do I know anyone who's been there before? Think like Loki. Think like Loki. Here's the problem. Do I know anyone who could help or has been here? Let's go talk to them. Plan it out. Don't just jump into. Plan ahead. Plan like he did with, I'm going to wait till the Jotun leaves before I go in and grab Eden. I'm going to turn her into this. Plan it out in steps. And then enact the plan. That is basic problem-solving skills. Even for people who are not pagan, that is just standard problem-solving skills. And Loki is great at that. And again, when there's a problem that we don't necessarily have a standard issue plan, we think outside the box. What could they possibly catch a fish with? I bet if they had a net that had holes in it to let go of the water, they could catch the fish. So we think outside the box. We think what maybe hasn't been done but still could possibly work. Any of you sciencey nerds out there know how scientific method works. We tried this, it didn't work, so we're not going to do it the same way. We're going to try a different variable. We're going to change it up a little. And we're going to keep trying it, planning it out, planning it through. Like Nikola Tesla did. He would go through the experiment in his head, start to finish, repeatedly, before actually doing it. And that's how so many of his things worked quickly. What seemed like the first or second try was actually in his head. He had done it 100 times at with different variables, different speeds, different volts, whatever. Loki did things like that. And the only reason I mention the science and the mundane is because part of spirituality is bringing in our spirit and physical world. Kind of have to go hand in hand. Not have to, but things are easier that way. That's kind of like the goal. Loki can help with all of those, if you ask. At the same time, his role as problem solver is also when we have a problem big enough that we can't figure it out. We have tried. Yes, that part of the waiting before you pray for it is correct. Not they'll never help you, but at least try. But when you've tried, you've planned, you've thought, you've done what you can, ask Loki. And he will usually find some way to make it happen. It may happen slowly. It may happen in ways you didn't expect. But that's part of who Loki is too. He will solve those problems. Again, prime example where I'm at now. Okay, I need a place to stay. And everything I tried failed. And I throw up my hands again. Loki, help. And then guess what? That same day, oh, here's a friend with a place I can stay. But in the process of that wasn't the only problem solved. Other things I had been needing are getting worked through now too. I am comfortable being by myself, happy with myself, proud of who I am as a person. For the first time in my life, after being cast out, homeless, nowhere to really call home, left alone on my own, things taken from me on a, well, shit, I just described Loki too, didn't I? Whoops. And then somehow by asking Loki, help me fix this problem, he's helped fix problems in the middle of it as well. He's helping me get through other problems that before now I never thought of being possible. I never even thought to really ask. And in fixing those, helping me get personal acceptance, more confidence, more myself. Now there's more people that are a little more like me talking to me. Now I have the confidence to go out and look for jobs and not being nervous and jittery throughout an entire interview. These are problems that are being fixed by Loki's inner problem solving. And I had to let go and say, yes, I worded it that way. I do say very often, Loki, take the wheel. I know people don't like that, but it works. Now, I wasn't trying to get personal just to get personal, but just as an example, because I'd rather give examples of myself than others when possible. But Loki does that, because when you have Loki helping solve a problem, he's solving the problem from start to finish. He's planning it out. He's planning how to make it happen. He's looking at what else needs to happen for this goal to be reached. And he makes it all happen in the order that it should. Whereas most of us, our human nature is to want to fix a problem and instantly go from, I have the problem is fixed. And it's just like getting a job. It's just like starting a new career. You have to take steps to do it. You want a new job? You make a resume. You put in applications. You turn in your resume. You call and follow up. Loki does things step by step, but on a bigger scale. And he'll fix these problems that are the problems causing the problem. That's Loki's specialty. Again, we've talked about how he does focus on inner truth. So when we're needing help with a problem, he's going to look at other problems we have that might make that problem harder to fix. Not necessarily cause the problem. You know, my insecurity didn't cause my car to break. But letting go of some of that helped fix the problem of not having a place to live. So Loki will fix the problems that need to be fixed to fix the problem along the way. That is why he is a great problem solver. And yes, again, try your best to think of him if you need to. Figure it out. Step by step. Plan it out. Problem solve. Ask Loki to help. I keep saying that. We've got to get away from this idea that we can't ask the gods for help. They will help. Yes, the key word is help. We have to do the footwork. But they'll help make it easier. And Loki's problem-solving skills will solve more problems than just the main thing. Like with Sif's hair. Main problem, Sif needed new hair. He solved that. In the process, he also got a multitude of gifts for the gods, including Thor's hammer, that we all know is so special to him. So look to Loki as the problem solver. Look to Loki. And yeah, if you're the kind that doesn't want to ask, it's going to take you longer, to be honest. If you're the kind that don't want to ask for help. But if you want to solve it on your own, then at least look at the stories. Look at it from not the perspective of it's just a story, or the perspective. Look at what you can learn from it. Like you would any other book. Focus on what is the problem. Focus on the steps to take to fix it. As Loki does, are there any problems I've got that might hinder me or make it take longer to get this? And let Loki help guide you through that planning process. Because he is a problem solver. And very often, if you ask him, he'll fix problems you didn't realize were important to be fixed, or sometimes that you didn't realize you had. He'll help you see the problems that need fixed. That is what Loki does. So, that is all for now. If you need guidance or whatever, feel free to email me. Also, I'm asking everyone to please comment what other things you want to hear about here. Other than just Faces of Loki, what more do we want to discuss? Do we want to get back to the myth studies? Do we want to talk more about magic? Do we want to talk about tarot? What do y'all want to hear here? Learning, not business. I'm no longer doing those two things together. You'll have to go to my other places to find that. But do please, let me know. What do you want to hear? What do you want to learn? That's all for tonight. Y'all take care. Bye.